Hi.
Hi.
You are here and playing a very special role in this event. You are Fabiano's trainer, is that right?
That's right. Personal trainer, performance coach.
Performance coach. Could you tell us a bit about how you met Fabiano and how this came about? Because I think this is the first ever time that you are traveling to a tournament. Is that true?
That's true. Yep. I'm based in St. Louis, and I train professional athletes for a living. And Fabiano hired me 2 years ago and asked me to train him.
And how is it that he met you? Like, was it because not many chess players have a performance trainer?
That's right.
So how did this come about?
I think he was witnessing some of the training that was happening. I think we live in a world where performance is heightened by the things that you do in the off season, particularly in sports that I work with, like football players, basketball players, baseball players. Actually, when I met Fabiano, he was sitting in on one of my training sessions with 3 very large football players. And very politely, when the session was over, he asked me if I would train him. And not knowing who he was at the time, I asked him what his goals were, and I asked him to show up at 8 a.m. the next day, which he agreed to. And the rest is history. I soon then after learned who he was, what his goals were, and I figured I could help.
And Fabiano is someone who's been at the top of the world of chess for years now. What does it entail for such a player to be performing at such a level from a physical standpoint?
Confidence and focus, number one. You see when they're playing, their heart rates are displayed. And a lot of that falls into what we call central nervous system manipulation and stimulation. That's really a key term that we use in the industry nowadays with all the tracking capabilities that we have. So when we're training, we're tracking everything, volume. We don't want him to overwork, and we certainly don't want him not to work hard enough. We want to prepare him for pressures, and we want to prepare him to be able to play at his optimal zone regardless of the circumstances.
Wow. So it's like everything is kind of scientific in nature. Everything can be quantified.
It can be quantified, it's very scientific. We can take an athlete like Fabiano and we can study him over the course of 2 years, or in his case, 175 workouts. We can see if he's progressed in certain areas or if he's digressed, and then we have to make changes in his programming. Not only that, but I carefully monitor his game and whether or not he's winning or losing, or how his heart rate changes during a performance. We know that we can make changes in his training based on the outcome.
Wow, this is amazing. So when he came to you, and now that you've been working for 2 years, what are the tangible changes you have seen, if they can be discussed?
Well, obviously his confidence is way up. When I'm discussing privately with individuals who ask me, how his performance is, I think he's at the height of his game. And I think he's only going to keep elevating that bar. I think as his performance improves, I think he can only become an even more dangerous athlete in the game.
And that's kind of interesting because currently he's 32 years old. And
right.
In chess, it's getting younger and younger. So to see him being at top and improving is actually quite an inspiring thing even for other chess players.
That's right. Yeah, I honestly believe that he's only going to improve. In my area of expertise in this world, I work with NFL players who are well into their 30s. And those are the type of athletes that usually come to me because they're looking for that little bit of an edge. And it really takes a scientific approach to this to find ways to improve at that age.
And what does, like when Fabi came to you, what was it about him that impressed you, and over the period of 2 years, what are his qualities that you think are very impressive?
Yeah, he was very dialed in, he was focused, very intentional. He always shows up on time, ready to work. He's always looking to improve as a coach like myself. You want an athlete like that. You want somebody who's going to show up on time, who really respects this aspect of the game. And not to say that anything I can do to him in the weight room is going to affect the way he processes the game. But I think one of the big things is getting into a routine. I think every athlete at his level, which is the highest level, needs to develop a routine. And once they're in that routine, I think they can accomplish pretty much anything.
Wow, that's amazing to know. And how much of the training is kind of doing physical work, and how much of it is just talking about mental things and so on?
Well, my job is more the physical side, measuring what he's doing in the weight room, making sure he's always doing the right things. There is a wrong way to train. Many people don't know this. You can be doing the wrong things in the weight room. So what we focus on is doing all of the right things, always analyzing what we've done, always making correct changes, and that's a big part of it.
And what do you do when you come to a tournament like this with him?
I just try to help as much as I can, try to make sure he's staying hydrated, make sure he's eating his meals. He is so focused. I don't think there's an athlete that I've met that's more focused on the game. And sometimes that takes away from the health and wellness aspect of your daily lifestyle and what it takes to really perform at a high level, which is that nutrition and hydration aspect. And then once again, keeping him on routine.
And you worked with so many NFL players and so many players in this physical sports. When you look at chess, how do you see it? How much is it important for chess players to train physically?
Well, I'm learning more and more about the game of chess, just knowing Fabiano. It's become a new world for me, right? I still work with several NFL players and professional athletes and many other sports. It's a different way of training. It's a challenge. No two athletes are the same. No two athletes in any sport are the same. So this is an entirely new way of training. We're still learning, but I think the proof is in the pudding, and Fabiano's done a great job for himself.
Amazing. And for you, what's the aim for him? Like going forward, do you have any aims that maybe becoming the world champion, becoming world #1?
Well, I'll leave that for him to decide. But of course, I want him to take his game to a level that maybe he didn't know he could.
And any basic things that for chess players that they can take care of? What would be your advice to them?
Say it again.
What would be your advice to chess players like who are watching this and maybe they could incorporate it in their life?
I think it should be everyone's goal to get in the best shape of your lives. I think that needs to be a priority for any athlete, any individual. I think it can only improve your game. It can only improve your thought process, your decision making. It can only improve your confidence levels. So if you're not training, if you're not getting into some sort of physical fitness routine, you're really leaving a lot out there. You're never going to reach your optimal performance without those aspects.
And just so that we know, like, what would be a typical training routine with him look like? Like, is it an hour long in a like 3 days a week? How is it?
Yeah, usually 3 days a week. You know, an athlete like him at his caliber, he's busy all the time, media and training, and he has a coach that handles the chess side of things, and he has a chiropractor and a massage therapist. So he has a full service team around him. When he comes in with me, we're on a strict schedule. I keep the tempo the same almost every single time, make adjustments as we go. He's usually warming up pretty rigorously, very intentional movements that we're doing each time, always evaluating, making sure he's doing the right things. I don't identify any injuries. And then we obviously use a massage gun, do some percussive therapy to make sure he doesn't have any tight muscles. And then we can get into the ground and pound, which is the weightlifting. So a lot of functional training, a lot of core work, and we're usually doing like an upper body and a lower body and a total body day to make sure we're hitting all areas.
Amazing. And finally, I want to ask you about yourself. You're not just a coach, right? But you're also an entrepreneur. You have several things going on. Could you tell a bit about yourself? Apart from this, I think there are other things also that you do.
Of course. Well, in my involvement with working with professional athletes, me and a great team around me developed a platform called Proform app. If you aren't familiar with it, it is in several hundred high schools. It allows those schools to use AI and other technologies to make sure they're doing proper training, make sure they're not training the wrong way or doing the wrong things, and also giving a coach or ourselves the ability to make sure that what we're doing is progressing the athlete in the right way.
Brilliant. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for giving your time.
Thank you.